friend. Stephen Benoon here with Israeli News Live. Today is August the 28th, 2025, and I am diving into some crazy things here more and more, and this is concerning me. This is Fox contributor. His name is Aaron Cohen. Aaron, by the way, he was born in Montreal, Canada. He did move to Israel, became an IDF soldier. In his military career, he became part of the elite undercover Duvdevan unit, an Israeli commando squad known for counterterrorism operations in the West Bank, i.e., harass the citizens of the West Bank, the Palestinians that are living there. In his post-military career, he returned to the U.S. He founded a company called IMS Security Consultants, offering VIP protection and active shooter training to law enforcement and even U.S. Special Forces in Hollywood. He served as a tactical advisor and moved into acting, appearing in projects like 211, Rambo 5, even Luis Miguel, a Netflix movie there, and The Enforcer. That's some of the things that this man has been known to do. He's basically built an amazing entourage of contacts throughout the United States. And of course, his IDF presence with the special forces in the IDF, which I really hate to call that special forces, special tactical harassment teams of Israel. That's what they really are.
I am now
This is what he has
about
to
to
say.
launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform built specifically for law enforcement. It scrapes the internet 24/7 using an Israeli-grade ontology to pull specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement. It's a 24/7 detective. It never sleeps, and it's going to get us in front of these attacks.
Would it have picked up on this, do you think?
100%. I wish my program would already be up. We're not launching until next week. I've got a dozen agencies on board, Trace. I just unloaded a major Northeast agency with over 2,700 sworn. This is America's early warning system. Correct. I am now about
America's early warning system. I'm very disturbed by the shooting at the Catholic school there in Minnesota. But let me kind of share with you something that you need to take a look at as well when we're looking at these shootings here. This is Dr. Robert Duncan. He was murdered last year for exposing, as he became a whistleblower, exposing the weapons that DARPA, the CIA have developed, NSA, to be able to spy on the American people, the mind control. Dr. Duncan's interviews, he said they're looking for large numbers of people they can experiment on. And he said they need all nationalities, people from all over the world, etc. Well, it's kind of interesting how the program that's going on right now, or I should say alleged program that could go on with Alligator Alcatraz, because what is it? ICE agents are rounding up people. It's not just people from Mexico, by no means. The people that came across the southern border were from every country around the world. They were from the Middle East, they were from Europe, they were from South America, they are from Mexico, you name it, they're from everywhere. This is exactly what Dr. Robert Duncan says in the interviews that he has done. He did one. The last ones he did was with Craig LaForest. Craig, we interviewed here. Craig, an amazing man who is under mind control torture 24 hours a day. He is one of those victims that is not a volunteer. And of course, as Robert Duncan says, they don't look for volunteers. They just look for people to be able to practice on against your will. Yeah, exactly. One of the things that Robert Duncan brings about, though, too, is how that even, and he actually labels in one of his interviews there, using voice to skull technology, V2K, and he talks about how that they have used those in schools in order to be able to justify. Well, basically, like he said, if you got an agenda and you want to disarm the nation, what better way to do it than to allow a shooting to happen? Somebody that we have influenced, someone that we have watched, tracked, surveilled, etc., knowing their patterns, the way they think, etc., and then use that technology on that individual. As he said, it's a technology you can't plug your ears. They use a frequency that goes into the brain to where you hear the voice in your brain. They can literally take patterns of your own voice as they pick that up off of social media where you talk, etc. They can even have the voice of your grandmother, your grandfather, any samples of voices that they they have, they can recreate it just like they do with AI, artificial intelligence there. If you ever look at, like, for example, ChatGPT, in ChatGPT, I've done a lot of research on this just to see how do they get the guy's voice to do it. Well, it's actually an actor. They record his voice. He does sample voices and things like that, and then they're able to generate it to be able to respond to you if it's an actual person talking. That's how advanced AI has become. And this is exactly what's going on. Back when I was disclosing a lot of this information, one of my contacts out of Washington would tell me, you need to be careful. They will kill you for this type of information going public. Well, Dr. Duncan paid with his own life for Adair to share it with the public, even though he was very cautious not to disclose classified information. Well, and anyway, going back to what Audrey did with her broadcast there, she was realizing that Alligator Alcatraz was awfully close to the University of Miami, and she was saying about Neuralink, which it's not so much Neuralink that gets involved in this. This is what DARPA does, what the CIA does. But of course, the CIA will fund nefarious programs like that of Elon Musk's Neuralink there in order to be able to get those samples that they need. They have to do, as Dr. Duncan says, they have to do this like it's a good boy program in order to be able to get the funding and to justify it for the American public. But they don't tell you about the nefarious side of this and what's really going on. And that's where you have to be careful. Then I found when I was doing the broadcast yesterday, Chrome, we find out that Chrome, also a prison that is over 1,000 populated, very close also to the University of Miami, and that's where some of the people from Alcatraz have been transferred to. Could it all be used for that purpose? Well, that's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that. But now we have this guy Gideon, not Gideon, but his name is Aaron Cohen, who has developed this technology to be able to basically mass surveil people around the country, and now they're going to surveil all your information, all your private data that is on social media. Listen to what it says right here.
We have no idea what the shooter, what the issue was,
No.
what the motivation was. Was it connected somehow to the story they were covering?
Right.
Was it not? Was there some personal event that we have no idea?
They posted, they warned us, they told the world exactly what they were going to do, but no one saw it in time. What if your department could see the threat before it happens? Gideon is the first real-time AI system built to detect threats online before they become attacks. Anonymous networks flagging behavior, predicting danger. We don't get a second chance. Let's not miss the next one.
And that is what Aaron Cohen is proposing. Could it work? Well, yes, in theory, it could help. I'm not saying it couldn't help, but at what cost? That's where the real question comes in on this. He describes this as the first real-time AI threat detection system for law enforcement designed to scan social media and open web for pre-attack signals. That's what he says it is, right? There are promotional videos on YouTube, of course, about this, as I've just shared with you there. But in June 2025, an article from Redacted contends that Gideon is not yet built. It's more of a marketing pitch and amidst a raising seed funding rather than a functional system. I actually pulled up Redacted's article on here just so that we could actually look at some of this information in here. And, that's something that's a little bit concerning. But then again, what it really is Gideon, though? What difference is that than that of Palantir? Just another way to invade the privacy of the people and to basically trap us. So I began to look at what are the threats involved in this. A system like Gideon, it'll rely continuous scanning of social media, online forums, videos, and digital communication. This often means all users are swept in a surveillance net, not just actual suspects. Innocent posts like shares or even private group membership could be flagged as indicators. Not to mention, you're going to have some of these platforms that are going to have to basically give a back door into all of the systems that you're using. So there goes your privacy, there goes your free speech, etc. To connect the dots, the software could integrate with facial recognition, geolocation, purchase history, and even biometrics. Notice purchased history. So yes, your information is being sold online, it gets sold right to them. That creates digital dossiers on individuals without their consent. Sarcasm, satire, or religious prophecy could be misread as violent content. For an example, what if you said something like this online? This corrupt system needs to burn. Well, that could be classified as a terror threat rather than a metaphoric critique. You got speech risk as well. Knowing that all posts are being scanned and pre-crime, it's really what Gideon is, a pre-crime type of program. AI discourages people from speaking out about sensitive issues, politics, religion, human rights abuses. You couldn't dare talk about what's going on over in Gaza right now. In fact, some of the most vocal voices out there on what's happening in Gaza right now would be determined as a threat, and they would already be arrested as a result of this. For instance, the citizens criticizing Israeli or U.S. military actions may worry their dissent will be interpreted as radicalization. Political abuse potential. Governments could redefine threats to include peaceful protest, journalists, or whistleblowing. Historical examples show how anti-terror laws have often been used to silence dissidents, labor unions, and ethnic minorities. So it's just really crazy. AI systems tend to learn biases from their training data, which can encode racial, religious, and political prejudices. And some of the ethical pitfalls here could be due to process concerns. If flagged by an AI, a person could find themselves under FBI NSA scrutiny, placed in a watch list, restricted from travel without even committing a crime. No transparent legal mechanism exists for clearing your name either. That's another major problem with this. If Gideon is sold to law enforcement, data collected could be exempt from constitutional protections like the Fourth Amendment under loopholes where private companies spy and share with the state. And then it could become a mission creep. History shows surveillance tools originally built for counterterrorism. Examples, Patriot Act programs, Stingray cell trackers often migrate into routine policing, immigration enforcement, and political monitoring. Yeah, you wouldn't get very far, would you? Give you an example here. Let's say an American post, what Israel is doing in Gaza is genocide. People should rise up and resist such evil. Well, what if that were to happen? An AI like Gideon could flag resistor as violent, keyword, cross-reference with whether other posts about human rights or protests mark them as a potential radical threat. In reality, the person is exercising legitimate political speech, citing the same language used by respected figures like Tucker Carlson, Amnesty International, and world leaders. Yet under algorithmic scrutiny, they risk becoming a target of surveillance, interrogation, and blacklisting. So these are the dangers that you have. But, there are, of course, potential benefits, and that is that it could detect a real shooter. The question is what do we trade off in the process of this? And that's what we got to consider. If a system like Gideon launches without strong oversight, independent auditing, and transparency, it risks becoming a digital thought police, sweeping in critics of government wars and policies along with actual criminals. So, I think it can be a very serious injustice for the nation. Because unfortunately, the way the world is going, there's not going to be an oversight whatsoever in this. I'm Stephen Bannon. You're watching Israeli News Live.